Welcome back. You're watching OurCity. I'm Helga Jansen-Daubia. Thank you to Lenina Rasool for the news and social media report. She'll be back again tomorrow evening, same time, with a roundup of the day's happenings. Now, films such as Jaws have made us think that great white sharks are the top of the marine food chain, the most savage beasts in the sea. Films like Free Willy, however, have us believing that orca whales are impressive, loving, and beautiful creatures. Hollywood's agenda has left misconceptions in the minds of millions. Recent specialized attacks by these killer whales or orcas on great whites off the Cape Coast prove not only who is stronger, but who is smarter. The attacks on the great whites are potentially threatening an already vulnerable species, and possibly the marine ecosystem as a whole. For this conversation, I'm joined in studio by Dr. Rabi'a Ryklief, who is, and let me get this right, a Marine Top Predator Ecologist and an expert on great whites. Welcome, Rabi'a.
Hi.
Now, before we have this conversation, let's just watch a short video by Marine Dynamics that give us details on these unusual attacks in Gansbaai.
May 2017 has been an interesting yet trying time for the team of Marine Dynamics and the Dyer Island Conservation Trust. Being called out to retrieve a deceased white shark female of 4.9 metres was bad enough, but within a few days there were another two, both males at 3.6 and 4.5 metres. All three sharks have been identified from our extensive database. Our shark biologists, Alison Tanner and Kelly Baker, assisted by our team and experts in their field, including Dr. Malcolm Smau, and with the permission of the Department of Environmental Affairs, did the dissections on site in Gansbaai. All three sharks had consistent bite wounds and were found to be missing their livers. This indicates what is known of orca predation on sharks, as they remove the buoyant livers, causing the shark's body to rise to the surface. The squalene-rich liver is the only part that the orcas are interested in, although the one male shark was also missing a heart. In the last 2 years, we have had more frequent sightings of orcas, and there was speculation as to how the orcas affect shark behaviour. And now we have confirmation that some orcas do indeed pose a serious threat to our already vulnerable population of great white sharks on the South African coastline. The orca, Orcanis orca, also known as the killer whale, belongs to the dolphin family and is the only known natural predator of the iconic apex predator, the great white shark. This is the first time ever that a white shark has been dissected after an orca predation, and this is the first official observation in South Africa, stunning researchers and shark lovers. This has affected sightings in the bay, as white sharks, sensing a threat, temporarily leave the area. However, we know very little about long-term impacts of orca predation on white sharks. Both are highly transient top predators. Therefore, it's hoped, like elsewhere, the natural behaviour will resume again. After all, this is a very dynamic ocean system.
Welcome back. You're watching OurCity, and we're talking great whites versus orcas. We're joined in studio by Dr. Rabi'a Ryklief. Rabi'a, that footage was truly amazing. I mean, the precision with which the great white was dissected. What exactly happened there? And how do we know that it was orcas?
Well, firstly, it's important to remember that the orca is one of the dolphin species, and it is a highly intelligent species as well.
So let me just stop you here, because I didn't know this. It's not in fact a whale.
No.
It's a misnomer to say it's a whale. It's a dolphin.
Yes, actually when a dolphin is larger than 4 meters, then it's classified as a whale, just in common terminology. But yes, it's a dolphin, it's highly intelligent, and because of its high levels of intelligence, it has the capacity to dissect a shark just simply to extract its liver. How do we know that it's the orca specifically? Is that the bite marks on the underside of the shark, as you saw in the video, indicates that it's from an orca, as well as the presence of orcas prior to the shark carcasses being washed up on the shore.
But Rabi'a, this is not normal behavior. And when I say normal, as in the coast of our waters, and as we all know, Cape Town and the Western Cape is a coastal province, great whites have always ruled the roost. So orcas are kind of the new gangs on the block. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is kind of exactly how you put it. Generally, we're used to seeing white sharks along the South African coastline, specifically Cape Town. It's a big white shark hotspot in the world, and people come from all over the globe to dive and see white sharks. But the presence of orcas definitely indicates that they're not at the top of the food chain entirely.
They're called, and I didn't know this again, I just learned this today, apex predators. Can you tell me what does that mean?
An apex predator is an animal that is at the very top of the food chain. We consider white sharks to be apex predators as well, because of the infrequent presence of orcas. But basically anything that's right at the top, in this case the orca is one up on the white shark.
So we have two apex predators in the waters off the Cape Coast. What does this mean for the ecosystem?
It can definitely influence the ecosystem, because certain areas where white sharks are often present, if the orcas are attacking the white sharks, they're definitely going to try and find a way to run or hide away from these orcas. It can also influence the presence of the prey items that the white sharks consume. For example, the seals, Cape Fur seals, as well as the dolphins. That white sharks might eat. If the white sharks aren't there to eat them anymore, the seals and dolphins are definitely going to have a free time swimming around, instead of wondering where's the next attack going to happen on them.
So the knock-on effect is that you would have overpopulation because the white shark, the great white, of course, also, there's a balance.
Yes.
They feed off the seals, and they're lowering or they're balancing the seal numbers, and suddenly
Yes.
with these two apex predators, there'll be competition, and
Yes.
it's the seals basically who'll be safe.
Yes.
If you think about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Rabi'a, tell me, Lenina earlier asked me, why should we care? Why should we care?
Why should we care? That's a very good question. Well, South Africa is the first country that protected the white shark under its national legislation. Most people don't actually know this. It's a charismatic species. It brings in a lot of money from ecotourism. It's also one of the easiest places in the world to study white sharks, and we have a lot of people from all over the world that come to South Africa specifically, not only to study them, but also to shoot footage for National Geographic, etc. Why should we care? Well, the sharks that were taken out was a female that was about 4.5 meters, as well as two males that were over 3.5 meters in size. A male shark, when it's 3.5 meters and larger, becomes sexually mature, which means that it can start reproducing. A female only becomes sexually mature or starts reproducing at 4.5 meters. So these orcas are taking out the prime reproductive stock of our white sharks. We're definitely going to find a knock-on effect, as in less white sharks.
So another reason why we should care also is that these at the moment are classified as vulnerable, the great white
Yes.
shark. Just explain to our viewers, what does that mean? Are they extinct? What? Why?
They're not extinct. There's definitely some threat to them, and it is of conservation concern. At the moment, the species is doing okay. There's no alarm bells ringing, but definitely once it moves up a category to endangered, we need to start rethinking how we manage the species and the threats related to that species.
And just in terms of legislation, environmental policy, and political will, as a scientist, do you think that these are all in place to make sure that the great white sharks continue to be protected in our waters?
Within the South African waters, we definitely have all the legislation in place, as well as signed onto any international legislation to protect the white shark. So on that front, yes, we do have issues of actually enforcement. However, the prospect of a new predator consuming or attacking the white shark, I don't really think that the legislation accounts for that. It's more the human consumption of the white shark. or the threat that we pose.
Rabi'a, and this is a question that we've kind of just touched on briefly off air, but would it be correct, I mean, because suddenly out of nowhere there's now a second predator in our waters, the orcas, and even though they've been off the coast of our waters, is this, their movement into, the residential area, if you can put it that way, of the great white, can we ascribe this to a certain degree to climate change, to temperature waters that are changing, food stocks that are limited in one part of the globe, etc.? Would it be correct to make that kind of assumption?
Ascribing climate change
to
a particular issue, ascribing climate change to a particular issue like this is very difficult to actually prove scientifically. It could be that maybe at one part of the globe, yes, there is some, there is an overall decline of sharks on a global status, most species of sharks, and maybe these orcas could have come into the waters to target the white sharks, but I don't think that we can make that statement just yet. It's also important to know, maybe the viewers don't know, is that different orca pods act as different communities where some will hunt marine mammals such as dolphins and seals and whales, others will specialize in hunting rays, others will specialize specifically in hunting sharks or even seabirds like penguins. So the fact, going back to the precision, the surgical precision that was used on extracting the liver of these white sharks indicates that this pod is highly experienced and has the know-how to attack a shark like the white shark.
So we not only have predators in our human society in South Africa, we also have predators in our waters, additional predators.
Yes.
The last question I want to ask you is, what sparked your interest in zoology? I mean, at Cape Town TV, we are incredibly proud to have a Cape Townian, a recent graduate and a woman scientist. So what sparked your interest?
I always spent a lot of time in nature. My parents always cultivated that in me, and I don't really know why or how, but the marine environment is definitely where my heart lies. I know that my grandfather worked on ships in Mozambique. He couldn't find work in South Africa, moved in Mozambique. My other grandfather also sold fish on the fish market, so I think it's in my blood, and in some sense it drew me back to working with marine life. Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Rabi'a Ryklief, and I'm going to get this right, an expert predator ecologist. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay, I got that right. Thank you very much. Indeed, a very interesting conversation, and one that we at Cape Town TV will definitely follow up with. We'll be back after this break.